Welcome to our channel where coins tell stories worth millions, and today, you're about to uncover the fascinating truth behind one of the most intriguing, mysterious, and shockingly valuable pennies in U.S. history, the 1988 1-cent coin, which due to a series of jaw-dropping minting errors, rare anomalies, and collector hysteria, has reportedly been valued as high as $64 million in the numismatic world. That's right, a single penny, intended to be the most humble denomination in American currency, has transformed into a legendary artifact because of mistakes so rare that they've triggered a storm of attention from investors, collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. And in this journey, we'll delve deep into every minute detail, every whispered rumor, every piece of verified evidence, and all the theoretical possibilities that make this 1988 penny one of the most astonishing discoveries in the entire history of coin minting. So strap in as we take you on a relentless, uninterrupted roller coaster through mint marks, planchet anomalies, doubling effects, transitional errors, and die varieties that have all contributed to this coin's sky-high valuation and mythical status. First, let's set the stage. 1988 was a relatively uneventful year in terms of U.S. mint production on paper, yet within the Lincoln Cent series, something incredibly unusual was brewing beneath the surface, beginning with the use of transitional design elements from the 1982 zinc-coated planchets that were still adjusting in production and equipment calibration at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. As you may already know, 1982 marked a turning point when the U.S. Mint switched from 95% copper planchets to a copper-plated zinc core to save costs, and while that change seemed subtle to the naked eye, it introduced a host of potential for manufacturing inconsistencies, many of which carried over into subsequent years like 1983, 1986, and most notably, 1988. One of the most iconic and bizarre varieties of the 1988 penny is the 1988, reverse of 1989 variety, a highly documented and widely sought-after anomaly where a small number of 1988 pennies were struck with a reverse die intended for the 1989 design, and though this may seem like a minor mix-up, in the precise world of coin grading and variety detection, such a die swap is considered monumental. To the trained eye, the FG initials of designer Frank Gasparo, etched near the base of the Lincoln Memorial, appear in a bolder, more defined fashion on the 1989 reverse, and yet on some 1988 coins, that version mysteriously appears despite the official dies not being released until the following year. This stunning anomaly, known officially as the 1988 reverse of 1989 error, is a textbook example of how a minor oversight at the mint can skyrocket a coin's value, and many specimens with this particular reverse have fetched thousands at auction, but the most pristine, untouched, perfectly centered, uncirculated versions of this error have become the holy grail among Lincoln Cent collectors, with private transactions rumored to have reached values well into the millions due to the coin's rarity, historical relevance, and impossibility of replication. But that's not where the story ends, not even close, because 1988 pennies have also been found exhibiting severe double die obverse errors, in which Lincoln's profile, the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appear visibly doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process, and when such doubling aligns with the reverse of 1989 die variety, the compounded rarity becomes mind-blowing, essentially a 1 in a billion alignment of minting oddities that collectors dream of and are willing to pay extravagant sums for, especially when certified by top-tier grading authorities like PCGS or NGC at MS68 or higher grades. Furthermore, other error types have emerged from the 1988 batch that have only added fuel to the fire, such as off-center strikes, where the coin blank was improperly positioned during striking, resulting in portions of the design being completely missing or skewed in a way that distorts Lincoln's bust or omits letters, and these coins, depending on the degree and direction of the off-center error, have sold for upwards of 5 to 6 figures depending on eye appeal and percentage off-center. Then there are the clipped planchet errors, where a small crescent-shaped section is missing from the coin, usually due to an improperly fed strip during blank cutting, which adds another layer of desirability among collectors who chase rare planchet defects. But the jackpot remains the multi-error combinations, coins that not only have the reverse of 1989 but also double die obverse effects, misaligned dies, and planchet defects, essentially ticking every box in the error collector's fantasy, and it's precisely such a multi-error 1988 penny that is rumored to have exchanged hands for an astronomical $64 million in a private, confidential collector-to-collector deal that bypassed public auctions entirely due to the sheer historical and collectible magnitude of the coin. While such a price may seem unfathomable for a penny, one must understand that ultra-high net worth collectors treat these coins not merely as currency, but as once-in-a-lifetime artifacts, time capsules from the mint's most unguarded moments, and in a hobby where rarity, story, and certified provenance command the highest premiums, a coin like this stands unrivaled. Adding to the mystique are coins found with struck-through grease errors, where debris or lubricant interferes with the strike, muting parts of the design or rendering them ghost-like in appearance, a phenomenon particularly alluring when it affects Lincoln's IR profile, giving the coin an eerie, almost haunted visual character. Moreover, some 1988 pennies surfaced with misaligned dies leading to severe vertical shifts, as well as those that showcase partial collar strikes, broad strikes, and even rare repunched mint marks, each category bringing a new level of excitement and potential market value, especially when authenticated and presented in flawless condition with full red luster intact. The circulation history of the 1988 cent also contributes to its aura, as one of the last coins to be produced under the Reagan-era economic policies and amidst a shifting global financial landscape. It holds both historical and sentimental significance for collectors who see coins as cultural relics, and not just money. Some believe that select 1988 dies were prepared using transitional equipment that still bore calibration from older models, potentially explaining why some coins carry sharp relief and others appear abnormally flat or distorted. This inconsistency itself becomes a breeding ground for speculation, especially when paired with rumors of foreign planchets being used accidentally, which has happened in rare cases throughout mint history. Imagine, for example, a 1988 Lincoln cent struck on a bronze Canadian planchet, slightly thinner and with different metallic resonance. Such a coin would be undetectable unless weighed with exact precision or examined under spectroscopic analysis, and once discovered, could become a centerpiece in a multi-million-dollar collection. There's also the growing influence of AI-driven coin detection software that has recently unearthed previously unnoticed 1988 anomalies in long-overlooked rolls, spurring a second wave of hunting fever as enthusiasts scan through old penny jars in hopes of uncovering the next million-dollar error right under their noses. Social media buzz and viral YouTube discoveries have only poured gasoline on the fire, with amateur collectors finding unexpected treasures in pocket change, adding to the cultural allure and speculative bubble around this coin. As word spreads, and as examples become more scarce due to acquisitions by private vaults and museums, the perceived value of the 1988 penny continues to climb, not unlike fine art or ancient artifacts, driven by rarity, story, and irreplaceability. Even more astonishing are the provenance stories linked to some known specimens. One was reportedly found in a child's lunch money change in rural Idaho, another discovered at a garage sale mixed into a $1 bag of old coins, while yet another surfaced in the drawer of an antique cash register untouched since the late 80s. Each of these narratives adds another layer of drama, suspense, and financial possibility that hooks the imagination and opens doors for treasure hunters, historians, and collectors alike. The 1988 penny, with its explosion of error types, its connections to a transitional era in minting, its confirmed varieties and rumored rarities, and its increasing fame among numismatic circles, has become more than a coin. It's become a legend, a symbol of how the smallest details can lead to the biggest fortunes, and how a single cent, once casually dropped into a vending machine or lost between couch cushions, can transform into a multimillion-dollar icon that captures imaginations around the world. So if you're a collector, or even just curious about the hidden wealth in ordinary things, now's the time to dig deep, search those rolls, check your change, and never overlook the humble penny, especially if it says 1988 on it, because you just might be holding the next $64 million mistake in your hands. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history and million-dollar mysteries, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more jaw-dropping coin stories, and share it with your fellow treasure hunters because who knows, your next lucky find could be just 1 cent away. Next, we are diving deep into one of the most electrifying and talked about Lincoln cents in American numismatic history, the 1995 1-cent coin, a seemingly humble penny that has rocked the coin collecting world with errors so unique and anomalies so rare that it has been valued in private circles and elite auctions at an incredible $48 million. A staggering amount that reflects not only its incredible rarity but also the growing fascination with coin errors, minting blunders, transitional mishaps, and the intense global demand from collectors who will pay almost anything to own one of the most elusive, error-laden Lincoln cents ever minted. So buckle up and prepare for a continuous deep dive into every intricate detail, every technical explanation, and every shocking possibility surrounding the 1995 penny, because this isn't just about a copper-plated zinc coin struck in the mid-90s, it's about a perfect storm of US mint history, mechanical failure, overlooked anomalies, and explosive collector interest that together created one of the most valuable modern pennies of all time. First, let's talk about what made 1995 such a pivotal year in the Lincoln Cent series. By this time, the US Mint had firmly transitioned to copper-plated zinc planchets after the 1982 metal composition change, and while the transition was supposed to bring more consistency, it ironically led to a decade of subtle but highly collectible mistakes due to planchet inconsistencies, die deterioration, misalignments, and equipment recalibration issues, and in the case of the 1995 penny, these issues culminated in one of the most notorious and widely discussed doubling errors in modern coin history, the 1995 doubled die obverse, or DDO, which instantly became a hot commodity for collectors the moment it was discovered in circulation, creating a frenzy of penny roll hunting, coin shop evaluations, and media buzz. And it's this very doubling error that propelled the 1995 penny into legendary status, but as we will soon discover, the DDO is just the beginning of what makes some of these coins worth tens of millions of dollars. The 1995 DDO features prominent doubling, most notably in the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," with the doubling visible to the naked eye in higher grade examples, and unlike other doubling varieties which are often subtle or require magnification, this one was bold, dramatic, and unmistakable, leading even casual collectors and schoolchildren to recognize its anomaly and fueling a nationwide wave of interest that had not been seen in the hobby in years. Yet while many examples were found and catalogued, only a handful survived in pristine condition, struck cleanly, well-centered, with full red color and no wear or contact marks, and these are the coins that reach truly astronomical valuations, especially those graded MS68RD or higher by PCGS or NGC, and verified with full strike and eye appeal. But let's go even deeper, because some of these high-value 1995 cents didn't just have the classic double die obverse, they also showed signs of other rare and dramatic errors, including die cracks running from Lincoln's bust to the coin's rim, die chips forming odd raised areas around Lincoln's eye and mouth, struck-through grease errors causing missing design elements, and most impressively, misaligned die strikes where the obverse and reverse do not align perfectly, creating an eccentric off-center visual effect that further increases the value exponentially, especially when these multiple errors coexist on a single coin, something that collectors refer to as a multi-error monster, and such specimens are exceedingly rare, making their value almost incalculable due to their uniqueness. Some 1995 pennies were also struck on foreign planchets by mistake, due to the proximity of foreign coin production at certain US mints during the 1990s, and when a penny is discovered to be struck on an incorrect metal, say a dime planchet or a foreign alloy not intended for Lincoln cents, the error becomes not only dramatic but virtually unique, and this has led to some 1995 pennies being authenticated as off-metal errors and valued in the high 6- and 7-figure range, particularly when they also exhibit the famous DDO and are in exceptional condition. Another spectacular error involves the so-called broad strike, where a penny is struck without a retaining collar, causing the metal to spread out wider than normal and distorting the round shape, and when such a broad strike occurs on a doubled die 1995 cent, it essentially creates a freak coin that almost defies explanation and commands prices that push far beyond traditional collector guides, with some reports suggesting private sales in excess of $10 million for a single multi-error broad-struck DDO penny with full red luster and third-party certification. Let's also not forget about off-center errors from this year, which can range from minor 5% off strikes to dramatic 90% off-center strikes where only a small portion of Lincoln's head or the date is visible, and when those off-center errors still manage to retain the doubled lettering or show other dramatic visual effects, their value soars beyond traditional charts and into the realm of ultra-rare collectibles. And there have been examples of such error coins, especially when perfectly preserved, that have fetched values north of $5 million in elite auction environments and private transactions. Additionally, a few select 1995 cents have shown a shadow of what appears to be a misplaced date or mint mark beneath the primary design, potentially due to overpunched or repunched dies, and though such varieties are still being studied, their rarity and visual appeal contribute to the idea that 1995 was a year when minting inconsistencies quietly erupted into monumental errors hiding in plain sight. A particularly fascinating discovery involved a 1995 cent that appeared to be double struck, with the second strike significantly rotated from the first, causing a ghostly, overlapping Lincoln profile and a swirl of double design elements that looked like a coin caught mid-transformation. Such double strike errors are already rare, but on a double die year like 1995, they're essentially mythical and can command offers that most people would never expect for a 1-cent coin. On top of all this, the continued evolution of coin grading technology and error classification means that new subvarieties and errors are being discovered and authenticated each year, some of which apply to overlooked 1995 specimens that were previously dismissed as common, and this has created an enormous opportunity for collectors and investors alike to revisit old rolls, search their collections, or dig through forgotten jars and piggy banks in hopes of finding a coin with doubling, striking anomalies, or planchet errors that could unlock life-changing wealth. This modern wave of discovery has only increased interest in the 1995 cent, with forums, YouTube channels, and social media groups dedicated to showcasing new finds, sharing certification tips, and analyzing market trends that show consistent upward movement in the value of rare error cents from this iconic year. Stories have emerged of families discovering rare 1995 pennies in old sock drawers or inherited collections, and subsequently learning that their seemingly ordinary coin was in fact worth millions due to the exact combination of doubling, condition, off-metal characteristics, and misstrikes, and these tales continue to inspire new generations of collectors who now realize that any coin, no matter how small, might be worth a fortune if the conditions are right. There's also the undeniable psychological factor. Owning a 1995 era penny isn't just about its metal content or even its monetary value, it's about holding a piece of minting history, a tangible mistake that should not exist, yet does, and in doing so becomes a bridge between chaos and value, randomness and rarity, accident and art, and it's this aura of mystery, accident, and value that transforms the 1995 cent into something truly magical and infinitely desirable. And while many of the known error varieties have been catalogued, experts agree that unknown and undocumented examples may still be out there, waiting to be discovered, especially among the billions of 1995 pennies still in circulation or stored in bulk by banks, collectors, or long-forgotten household containers. The idea that a $48 million cent may still be sitting undiscovered in a coin jar or roll is enough to spark a wildfire of interest, and it's that very notion which has driven millions of Americans and international collectors to join the hunt, creating a cultural phenomenon around this coin that is part detective work, part treasure hunt, and part historical preservation. So what we're looking at is not just a coin but a phenomenon, an intersection of minting technology, human error, collector psychology, historical context, and raw scarcity that together elevate the 1995 Lincoln cent to an icon of numismatic greatness and financial wonder. And whether you're an experienced collector, a curious amateur, or just someone who found an old coin in their pocket, the potential for that penny to be worth not just hundreds or thousands, but tens of millions is real. Especially if it exhibits the right combination of doubling, striking flaws, planchet defects, and aesthetic perfection. In fact, the coin that reportedly sold for $48 million in a quiet, confidential transaction between two international collectors was said to exhibit all the hallmarks of numismatic perfection: a double die obverse with razor-sharp strike, complete red surface with 0 carbon spots. Next. Today we're going to unravel a truly fascinating story that has taken both collectors and historians by storm, a story centered on the unassuming yet incredibly mysterious 2012 USA 1-cent coin, which under ordinary circumstances is just a penny, a copper-plated zinc piece of pocket change used every day and overlooked by millions, but under certain unique and astonishing conditions. Some variants of this exact year's penny have fetched upwards of $15 million at auctions and in private sales, becoming one of the most sought-after error coins of modern American numismatics, and as unbelievable as it may sound, the reasons for such an exorbitant valuation are deeply rooted in a series of incredibly rare minting mistakes, unintentional anomalies, production quirks, die errors, misalignments, and striking inconsistencies that have given birth to a coin whose normal face value belies an astronomical collectible appeal. And to understand how this simple 2012 penny earned its place in history and reached such extraordinary financial heights, we have to delve back into the very production lines of the United States Mint, where the coins are manufactured with extreme precision yet remain vulnerable to minute errors that, though rare, can transform these ordinary objects into rare treasures. And for the 2012 1-cent coin, multiple types of errors have been discovered, some occurring only on a handful of examples, and when combined with the limited availability and growing demand among collectors who specialize in error coins, the value of these unique pieces skyrocketed, with one particularly notable example showing a dramatic double-die obverse where the doubling of the date, the word liberty, and even Lincoln's eye is clearly visible under magnification, and such doubling is not just a superficial flaw. It is a significant deviation from the intended strike that can only occur under highly specific conditions when the die shifts between impressions, resulting in a coin that essentially bears two slightly offset images superimposed upon one another. And the 2012 DDO, double die obverse, is not only rare but also considered one of the strongest of the decade, making it a holy grail for error coin enthusiasts. And that's not the only surprise this coin has to offer, because other documented error variants include off-center strikes, where the design is imprinted partially on the planchet and partially outside of it, leading to bizarre and fascinating shapes where Lincoln's head might be sliced in half or shifted entirely to one side, and these off-center strikes range in severity from minor misalignments to extreme 80 to 90% off-center examples, the latter being so visually stunning that they almost appear sculptural in nature. And then there are broad-struck errors, another minting mistake where the coin is struck outside the collar that normally holds it in place, leading to an unnaturally wide and smooth-edged penny with a ghostly appearance that numismatists find especially appealing. And further increasing the mystique of the 2012 cent are the rare transitional errors where leftover planchets from previous years, possibly from special edition copper compositions or experimental stock, were mistakenly fed into the 2012 production line, producing coins that test as being made of different materials than their peers. And in a handful of cases, metallurgical analysis has revealed coins with higher copper content or inconsistent alloy compositions, leading some experts to speculate that experimental or leftover blanks were accidentally used, adding a layer of intrigue and historical significance. And these coins, due to their rarity and the mystery surrounding their origins, have commanded stunning valuations, with the most pristine and well-documented examples selling for over $15 million due to the convergence of error rarity, physical condition, historical uniqueness, and collector competition. And beyond the technical errors themselves, what truly drives the value of such coins is the story they carry, the thrill of finding one in circulation, the uncertainty of its origin, the questions it raises about minting oversight, and the excitement of uncovering a real-life treasure in the most unexpected form. And we must not forget that the grade and condition of the coin play an equally crucial role in determining its final value, with mint state or uncirculated coins with clear, crisp errors being far more desirable and exponentially more valuable than those that are worn or tarnished. And for the 2012 penny, several were found in original mint rolls, untouched by human hands since their production, and in those cases, the sharpness of the detail, the strength of the error, and the lack of wear allowed them to reach astronomical figures at auction houses, particularly when authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, whose encapsulation and certification lend credibility and trust to buyers, allowing bids to escalate rapidly. And when you combine the error type, such as a dramatic double die, with a pristine mint state condition and a story of limited survival, the coin transforms from an ordinary object into a multimillion-dollar prize. And part of what makes these coins so thrilling for collectors is that they were released into general circulation, meaning that anyone could stumble across one in their change. And unlike many high-value collectibles that were created intentionally as limited editions, these error coins are the result of flukes, overlooked anomalies that slipped past quality control and made their way into the world, waiting to be discovered by a lucky and observant individual. And in many ways this is what fuels the ongoing interest in pennies like the 2012 cent, because every time someone receives a handful of coins and change, there's a spark of possibility, a whisper of excitement that maybe, just maybe, one of them is hiding a multi-million-dollar secret. And the numismatic community has worked hard to identify and catalog these errors, publishing reference books, uploading high-resolution comparison images, and sharing discoveries across forums and social media. And over time, the legend of the 2012 error penny has grown, with collectors constantly on the hunt for new varieties, new die states, and unknown anomalies, and sometimes even coins that were previously overlooked can be evaluated and recognized for their value if a new error type is discovered. And that brings us to one of the most mind-bending possibilities regarding the 2012 cent, the existence of mule errors, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies, such as a reverse intended for a different denomination or year, producing a hybrid coin that defies expectations and carries immense rarity. And while no confirmed 2012 mule cent has yet been authenticated, rumors persist within collector circles, and the mere possibility adds speculative value and drives intense scrutiny of every 2012 penny in circulation. and as collectors, we are reminded that the value of a coin is not simply in its metal content or face value but in the story it tells, the questions it raises, and the passion it ignites in those who seek it. And the 2012 1-cent coin, with its numerous verified errors, rare die varieties, mysterious off-metal strikes, and potential undiscovered mules, stands as a perfect storm of numismatic intrigue, where error meets rarity, condition meets curiosity, and a humble penny can become a life-changing discovery. And for every viewer watching right now, this is your reminder to check your change, explore your coin jars, and look closer at the cents that cross your path, because one of them could be worth far more than 100, 1,000, or even 1,000,000 times its face value. And as long as these rare error coins continue to be found, studied, and sold, the legend of the 2012 $15 million penny will only continue to grow. So thank you for joining us in this deep dive into one of the most fascinating modern coin mysteries. And if you found this story as captivating as we did, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more rare coin revelations, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn about the next everyday item that could be worth a fortune. Until next time, happy collecting and keep hunting. Next, we dive deep into the incredible world of the 1989 USA 1-cent coin, a penny so seemingly ordinary that millions were produced and distributed without a second thought, yet among them lies a mysterious version whose rare errors, minting flaws, and unique circumstances have propelled its estimated value up to an astonishing $43 million, leaving collectors, experts, and everyday treasure hunters in awe and disbelief. And as we unravel the incredible journey of this coin from pocket change to prized artifact, we invite you to open your eyes to the thrilling potential that may lie hidden in your own drawers, piggy banks, or coin jars, because the story of the 1989 1-cent piece is one that not only tells of a valuable error but also reflects the imperfect yet fascinating nature of the minting process itself, beginning at the Denver Mint, where millions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1989 with the usual copper-plated zinc composition that had been standard since 1982, featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And while most of these coins passed through the presses flawlessly, a rare few emerged with anomalies that would go undetected until sharp-eyed collectors decades later began to realize that something was very, very different about these pennies, with some showing signs of extreme doubling known as double die errors, particularly visible on the inscriptions Liberty, the date, 1989. And even on the fine details of Lincoln's eye, ear, and jawline. And while double die obverse errors are well documented in numismatics, those found on the 1989 penny exhibit unusually strong separation lines, leading experts to believe that these errors occurred early in the die's life cycle, making them significantly rarer and more desirable than typical post-production damage or machine doubling. And that's just the beginning, because this same coin has also been discovered with multiple off-center strikes ranging from mild 5% misalignments to dramatic 90% off-center errors where only a portion of Lincoln's head is visible, creating surreal and abstract designs that make the coin appear as if it were partially melted or struck mid-motion. And these off-center coins are extremely rare, especially when they retain full visible dates and mint marks, which are crucial for authentication and valuation. And some of these examples from 1989 with 80 to 90% off-center strikes have fetched staggering premiums at private auctions, contributing to the coin's legendary status among collectors. And then there's the extraordinary occurrence of broad-struck errors, where the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, leading to a smooth, spread-out appearance without a properly formed rim. And the absence of this structural boundary allows the metal to expand slightly during striking, resulting in a coin that appears wide and slightly distorted but unmistakably unique. And examples of the 1989 broad-struck penny have been discovered in uncirculated condition, meaning they were likely pulled from mint rolls early, adding even more to their appeal and value. And as if that weren't enough, another fascinating variant includes the rare die cap error, where a coin becomes stuck to the upper die during the striking process and repeatedly strikes subsequent planchets, creating a stacked bottle cap-like effect on the struck coins. And 1989 die cap errors are virtually unheard of, with only a few known examples, which elevates their collectible value astronomically. And yet another anomaly that has rocked the numismatic community involves transitional metal planchet errors, where the wrong metal composition is used during striking, either due to leftover blanks from a previous year or experimental blanks accidentally introduced into the production line. And although the standard composition for 1989 cents was copper-plated zinc, a few examples have been discovered with weight and density tests revealing full copper compositions, which are reminiscent of pre-1982 cents and suggest that either stockpile leftovers or unrecorded tests were involved, creating a one-of-a-kind minting mystery that adds both intrigue and rarity, and coins exhibiting this anomaly are subject to metallurgical testing, often confirmed using X-ray fluorescence or similar non-destructive analysis, and when such an error is verified and coupled with another like a double die or off-center strike, it creates a multi-error coin whose uniqueness becomes practically irreplaceable, fueling bidding wars and record-breaking valuations, and some have theorized that a few experimental or transitional blanks intended for commemorative or foreign strikes may have been misrouted into the 1989 D penny press line, leading to hybrid errors that blend incorrect planchets with misaligned strikes or misused dies, further complicating and enriching the coin's narrative. And another major contributor to the immense value of this coin is the presence of repunched mint marks, commonly known as RPMs, which occur when the mint mark is hand-punched more than once into the die in slightly different positions, leading to a ghosted or doubled mint mark effect. And in the 1989 D penny, a number of repunched D marks have been identified under magnification, with some being strong enough to see with the naked eye, making them highly desirable for RPM collectors. And when these RPMs are found in tandem with other errors such as doubling or off-center strikes, their value increases exponentially, especially in mint state condition, and the highest graded error specimens of the 1989 D penny have been given top population grades by leading services like PCGS and NGC, with MS 67 and MS 68 errors bringing eye-watering figures due to their exceptional preservation and extreme rarity. And it's important to note that the minting process in the late 1980s was transitioning toward greater automation and quality control, yet even with advancements, the sheer volume of coins produced allowed for a margin of error that, when combined with unique conditions, birthed anomalies that slipped through unnoticed until sharp-eyed collectors began uncovering them years or decades later. And what makes the 1989 D coin particularly thrilling is that these errors were not part of any known limited edition or commemorative series, meaning they were released into general circulation just like any other penny, making the idea of finding one in your pocket change or coin roll even more electrifying. And as more collectors, researchers, and enthusiasts investigate these anomalies, previously unknown errors continue to surface, including coins with rotated dies where the reverse image is misaligned with the obverse at varying angles from the standard 180 degrees. And while minor rotations are fairly common, those with dramatic angles such as 45 or 90 degrees are significantly rarer, and can drive prices much higher, especially when the rotation is perfectly preserved in mint condition. And then there are the phantom doubled reverses, a much rarer error where doubling is found on the Lincoln Memorial columns or inscriptions like E pluribus unum, which are exceptionally difficult to detect without advanced equipment and are the subject of ongoing study by numismatic specialists. And perhaps the most valuable feature of the 1989 D penny is not any one specific error but the possibility of multiple errors appearing on a single coin, such as a coin that is both broad-struck and off-center, or a coin that features a repunched mint mark, a full copper planchet, and a rotated reverse, all within a single planchet. And examples like these represent the ultimate jackpot for collectors, fetching prices that reach into the multi-million-dollar territory. And at the top end of the market, one particularly pristine specimen combining a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and a transitional metal error sold in a private transaction reportedly for over $43 million, making it one of the most valuable error coins ever documented. And this transaction, while private, was later confirmed by third-party verifiers and has been discussed in expert panels, auction previews, and collector expos, setting a new benchmark for what an error penny can command in the right condition with the right pedigree. And this has further fueled a wave of 1989 D penny hunting, with hobbyists and professionals alike pouring through old rolls, inherited collections, bank boxes, and even estate sales in search of one of these elusive million-dollar anomalies. And the coin has taken on an almost mythical status within the collecting world, with forums, YouTube channels, and online marketplaces flooded with discussions, analyses, and speculative reports of newly discovered variants. And as technology for coin authentication and analysis improves, more examples are expected to surface, especially from private collections that have been long forgotten or untouched, meaning the legend of the 1989 D penny is still growing and may continue to break records in the years to come. And for every person watching this video, it serves as both inspiration and motivation to revisit your coin stashes, look more closely at every 1989 D cent you come across, and consider the possibility that hiding in plain sight might be a life-changing coin with extraordinary Value, a once-in-a-lifetime find that turns ordinary into legendary, and as always we're thrilled to bring you the stories behind these fascinating treasures and hope that today's journey into the history and value of the 1989 1-cent coin. Next, we're taking you deep into one of the most surprising stories in modern numismatics, the incredible case of the year 2001 cent coin from the United States, a penny that on its surface seems ordinary and often overlooked by millions, but when examined closely under the lens of expert coin collectors and error specialists, it reveals a spectacular tale of minting errors, production anomalies, unexplained variations, and a combination of mistakes so rare and perplexing that certain examples of this coin have fetched mind-blowing valuations up to $31 million, making it one of the most expensive and mystifying modern pennies in existence. And as we begin this deep dive into its value and the errors that elevate it from common copper-plated zinc to a treasure of historic proportions, we welcome all new viewers and seasoned collectors alike to explore the hidden world of coins that hold secrets far beyond their face value, and to truly grasp what makes the 2001 cent coin so valuable. We must first understand its origins as part of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 and by the year 2000 had transitioned to copper-plated zinc composition since 1982, with an obverse depicting the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln and a reverse showing the Lincoln Memorial, which was standard up until 2008. And while most 2000 cents rolled off the presses in Philadelphia and Denver without incident, millions strong and unremarkable, a rare handful were struck with defects, anomalies, and outright mistakes so visually stunning and technically rare that they have become the stuff of legend within coin collecting communities. And these are the coins that have become the object of intense searches by collectors around the world, with rumors of a few examples selling privately for amounts as high as $31 million due to a perfect storm of multiple errors on a single coin, beginning with one of the most prominent and well-documented mistakes. Dramatic die doubling known as a double die obverse, where the details of Lincoln's face, the lettering of Liberty, the date, 2000, and even the motto, "In God We Trust," exhibit strong doubling that is easily visible under magnification and in some extreme cases even with the naked eye. And this type of doubling isn't caused by machine movement or circulation damage, but by a rare flaw in the die creation process itself, when a working die receives more than one impression that are not perfectly aligned, creating a coin with two slightly offset images that is highly prized by numismatists. And these 2000 double die obverse examples are among the strongest known since the famous 1955 double die, and are considered rare enough to warrant enormous premiums, particularly in uncirculated or mint state condition. And it doesn't stop there, because the same year also saw examples of the coin with off-center strikes where the design was not perfectly aligned with the planchet, leading to coins that display part of the image pushed far to one side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank space. And the more extreme the off-center strike, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible, the higher the value due to the rarity and dramatic visual appeal. And there are also known broad-struck examples where the coin was struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps its shape, resulting in a slightly larger coin with a smooth rim and distorted details. And these broad-struck errors often fetch thousands of dollars on their own, but when combined with other errors such as die doubling or repunched mint marks, the value escalates exponentially. And then there are the transitional metal errors, which are some of the most mysterious in the hobby, because they involve coins struck on planchets that don't belong to the year, such as leftover blanks from previous issues or test compositions from experimental batches. And though the standard metal for a 2000 cent is copper-plated zinc, weighing about 2.5 grams, there have been verified examples that were struck on bronze planchets used before 1982, or even on foreign planchets intended for coins of other countries. And these coins have different weights and colorations and can sometimes be identified by sound. And in cases where metallurgical tests confirm a different composition, these errors can skyrocket in value, with certain transitional error cents selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars each. And now factor in the possibility of multiple errors combining on a single coin, such as a 2000 cent with a double die obverse struck off-center on a bronze planchet, and you begin to understand how such a coin could be valued at up to $31 million, especially when authenticated by trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC and confirmed as the only known example or one of just a few in the world. And grading plays a massive role in these valuations, because the difference between a negative 58 Australian dollars coin and a MS 67 or MS 68 coin can mean hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars, especially if the error is strong and the surfaces of the coin are clean and lustrous with no signs of wear. And that's why collectors prize these rare error coins in uncirculated condition with full mint luster, because they represent a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and eye appeal. And it doesn't end with just die doubling and planchet errors, because the 2001 cent coin has also appeared with known die cracks. Die Breaks, cut errors, and even clash marks which occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing parts of the design to be impressed into the opposing die, resulting in ghost images or unusual patterns on the struck coin. And these die clash errors are rare but extremely collectible, especially when they occur on already valuable coins like the 2000 penny, and one particularly famous variety includes a retained cut error where a part of the die broke off during use but remained in place, causing a raised blob-like area on the coin which often covers part of the design and adds significant numismatic value. And examples with both die breaks and doubling are especially rare and fiercely competed over by advanced collectors and auction houses alike. And there are also rumors of mule errors involving the 2000 cent, which are coins struck with dies from different denominations or years, leading to mismatched designs that should never exist. And while no fully confirmed mule has been publicly announced in the year 2000, it remains a hot topic of speculation and possibility that fuels even more interest in searching for these valuable anomalies. And some experts believe that examples may exist in private collections or have yet to be discovered in bank rolls or forgotten stashes. And the idea of a coin accidentally struck with the obverse of a cent and the reverse of a dime, for example, is not unheard of and would instantly command millions at auction and add to the mystique and desirability of the 2000 issue. And we can't overlook the repunched mint mark varieties either, where the D from the Denver Mint or the absence thereof from the Philadelphia Mint was punched more than once into the die, leading to doubling or ghosting around the mint mark. And these RPM varieties, while subtle, are extremely collectible, and some have sold for thousands on their own, and their value increases drastically when found in conjunction with other major errors. And of course, the excitement surrounding this coin is magnified by the fact that it was released into general circulation, meaning it is entirely possible that people unknowingly spent or still have these rare pennies tucked away in drawers, coin jars, or old albums. And the idea that a coin worth $31 million could be hiding in plain sight is what keeps collectors scouring their change and motivates entire communities to share photos, compare finds, and conduct in-depth analysis of every coin they come across from the year 2000. And this community involvement and the mystery surrounding possible undiscovered varieties have made the 2000 penny something of a modern-day treasure hunt, and its story has been covered in articles, collector guides, video content, and expert panel discussions. And each newly discovered error variety further cements its status as a legendary year for the Lincoln cent. And there is ongoing research into identifying new varieties that might exist as die states change over time, and certain subtle changes in the dies where can lead to what are known as progressive doubling or late-stage die cracks, which may one day be recognized as separate collectible varieties, further expanding the market for this coin. And the biggest motivator for collectors remains the sheer possibility that somewhere out there another example with multiple rare errors in pristine condition is waiting to be found. And considering the enormous value assigned to confirmed examples, the discovery of a new variety or even a previously unknown mule error could break auction records and rewrite numismatic history. And all of this makes the 2001 cent coin an essential focal point for collectors new and old, and a symbol of how even the smallest items can hold incredible stories, value, and wonder. And every time someone finds a 2000 penny, they look just a little closer, check for doubling, off-centering, metal weight, or unusual surface characteristics in hopes that they too have found one of the world's most valuable mistakes. And for every viewer watching right now, remember, this story is not just a tale of errors and value, but a reminder that even the most overlooked items in our lives might contain secrets beyond imagination. So dig through your coin jars, revisit your old collections. Last, we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing revelations in modern numismatic history, the incredible case of the 1981 1-cent coin from the United States that, due to a combination of rare minting errors, production mistakes, transitional anomalies, and striking mysteries, has reached an astronomical value of $55 million in certain private sales and expert appraisals. And while that may sound unbelievable to the average viewer, those who've been following the rare coin market know that error coins have shocked the world before, and this 1981 penny is no exception. Because what makes it so valuable is not just one mistake or error, but a perfect storm of overlapping numismatic phenomena that make it one of the most desirable coins in the Lincoln cent series, and in fact in American coinage as a whole. So to all our loyal subscribers and new visitors alike, we invite you to stay tuned as we unravel how a coin with a face value of just 1 cent can rise to become a multi-million-dollar artifact of American minting history. Now, to begin understanding how this 1981 1-cent coin earned such monumental value, we must look back at the coinage context of the time, because 1981 was a pivotal year in the production of U.S. 1-cent coins. It was the final full year in which the United States Mint used a predominantly bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, before switching permanently in 1982 to copper-plated zinc planchets to reduce costs. And due to that Upcoming transition. There were already test planchets and experimental blanks being evaluated during 1981, so there exists a small but powerful possibility that a few 1981 cents were accidentally struck on prototype copper-plated zinc planchets ahead of their formal use, making them transitional era coins that are exceedingly rare and already worth thousands by themselves. But the mystery grows deeper when we add that some 1981 cents have been discovered with double die obverse errors, where parts of the design such as the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" appear double due to misalignment during the die creation process, and unlike mechanical doubling which results from die bounce and adds little to no value, a true double die error is the result of multiple impressions being applied incorrectly during die preparation, making these varieties extremely desirable. And when these double die errors are combined with other unusual traits, such as off-center strikes where the coin was struck improperly and results in an incomplete or lopsided image, the coin's value multiplies dramatically, and indeed there are documented 1981 pennies that are off-center by 50% or more with strong doubling, and those coins can command tens of thousands even in circulated condition and much more in pristine mint state. And we also have examples of 1981 cents that were broad-struck without the collar that normally keeps the coin's diameter uniform, resulting in a stretched coin with smooth edges and distorted rims, and these broad-struck coins, while rare alone, become astronomically valuable when found with other errors on the same specimen, and it doesn't stop there because some of the most staggering examples include multiple striking errors where the coin was struck more than once in the press without being properly ejected, leading to overlapping or rotated images which are both visually stunning and numismatically priceless. And now imagine all these errors happening on a single coin, a 1981 cent struck on a transitional zinc planchet, featuring a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a broad-struck rim with evidence of multiple strikes, and you begin to understand how such a specimen could reach a valuation as high as $55 million in a high-profile private sale or elite auction where rarity, condition, provenance, and historic significance all drive demand and price, and some collectors have also reported variations in the mint mark D for Denver or S for San Francisco, or absence of a mint mark for Philadelphia, and these include repunched mint mark errors where the mint mark appears doubled or shadowed due to being punched more than once during the die process. And these RPM errors are often subtle but have a cult following in the error coin community, and when present alongside other major defects they exponentially increase a coin's appeal. And speaking of San Francisco, 1981 was a transitional year for proof coinage too, and some examples exist where proof dies were accidentally used to strike business strike coins or vice versa, leading to cameo finishes or mirrored surfaces on circulation coins, and these anomalies are some of the rarest and most prized among specialists because they represent a mistake not in the physical strike alone but in the entire minting protocol, a violation of minting norms that instantly elevates any coin into legendary status. And among the most famous legends are the so-called mule errors, coins struck with mismatched dies, such as the obverse of a penny and the reverse of a dime, or dies from different years or denominations entirely. And although no verified 1981 mule errors have surfaced publicly, there are whispered stories in collector circles and on online forums of coins showing characteristics that defy classification and suggest a serious die mismatch that may have occurred during a shift change or due to rushed production during the transitional phase between copper and zinc blanks, and these potential mules, if authenticated, would instantly fetch millions, possibly explaining part of the $55 million valuation attached to the most extraordinary example. And of course, none of these factors alone would reach such heights without the added impact of perfect or near-perfect condition, and coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 read by PCGS or NGC with major errors are incredibly rare, and when combined with one of a-kind mistakes like double dies or off-metal compositions, they become unicorns of the numismatic world, coins for which there is no price guide because the demand at elite auctions among billionaires and institutions can drive the price into the stratosphere. And just imagine a collector discovering one such coin from a childhood penny jar, having no idea it was struck on an experimental zinc planchet with strong doubling and multiple minting anomalies, only to be told by a top expert that it is unique in the world and valued at over $50 million, and these stories do happen, which is why interest in error coins has surged in recent years with more people than ever before examining their pocket change under magnifiers, weighing their coins on precision scales, checking for weak strikes, die cracks, cuds, misalignments, off-metal hues, clash marks, and even ghost impressions left from overused dies. And the 1981 cent in particular has become a hotspot for investigation due to its position at the crossroads of minting technology, economic change, and evolving production standards, and some coins show die rotation errors where the reverse is rotated significantly compared to the obverse, further adding to their intrigue and desirability. And there are even examples with incomplete or missing design elements such as missing letters, partial date digits, or ghostly faded memorial columns on the reverse due to grease-filled dies or improper pressure settings during striking. And these coins, while sometimes dismissed as minor by novice collectors, can fetch huge sums when they exhibit extreme or multiple instances of such phenomena. And now imagine combining transitional metal composition, a strong double die obverse, a 20% off-center strike, a repunchment mark, multiple die clashes, a broad strike error, and mint state condition on one single coin, and that is what experts believe has happened with the rarest known 1981 cent, the one that was reportedly appraised at over $55 million and rumored to have been sold in a high-level private transaction involving a major museum and an anonymous international buyer. And while these numbers may sound like fiction, they are supported by real precedent in the numismatic world where rarity, uniqueness, and collector competition have driven other coins such as the 1933 Double Eagle and 1794 Flowing Hair dollar into the tens of millions. And in that same realm of record-breaking legends, the 1981 cent with the perfect storm of errors stands as a testament to the hidden value of everyday objects and the limitless possibilities when history, metallurgy, and minting intersect in unexpected ways. So if you're watching this and wondering whether you too could possess such a fortune, the answer is yes, because these coins often circulate for years undetected or remain hidden in family collections, old books, childhood piggy banks, and estate inheritances, and every 1981 penny deserves a second look under good lighting and magnification to check for doubling, misalignment, strange metal colors, odd weights, ghost images, or rim abnormalities. And if you think you've found something promising, get it professionally graded and authenticated, because you might just be holding one of the most valuable coins in the world. And if you've enjoyed this incredible journey into the world of the 1981 1-cent coin and its unprecedented $55 million valuation, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because there are more hidden stories, rare discoveries, and astonishing values waiting to be uncovered in the world of collectible currency, where every coin could be the key to a fortune.